Hi, Gaye, DeRusso with the Majestic rider here today with Sophia. She's a mule, and she's not a gaited mule, but she does have a fast walk, which is very nice, and then she just trots. So we have her in this Bitless bridle, so we'll see how she does. And I've been teaching her to sidle up, which is not the easiest thing. One, because she's just not in training many days. She's only in training a couple of days. Good girl. And then she gets a little attitude, like she don't want to do it. So I just insist. Good girl. So now all I'm doing is trying to get her to be closer to the mounting block. Sometimes she just don't want to do it. Good girl. Nope. So I just tap her until she's close to the mounting block. Then she gets a little treat. Gives her some motivation. Okay. But you can always give the treats once you're on if they keep wiggling around or moving when you're on the mounting block, because some of them get a little bit too food crazy. She needs some motivation in the arena, so that's why I have this stick to help us. Come on. Good girl. And this is the first time I've had her in the Bitless, so we'll see if she figures it out, but she didn't like the bit in her mouth too much, and those guys have the hackamore right now. Good girl. So anytime you get something new on your horse or mule, it's always good to test it on the ground, make sure it's okay first. It's okay that she's spinning around. I'm just doing lateral flexion. Good girl. And we don't expect that, they're going to figure it out right away. So if she pulls, I just hold until she figures out to just give to me. So it'll be a little bit different than the bit, and it's just going to take her a little bit of time. We're going to just try and walk some bending circles and just get her listening to us. So when you do your bending circles, I believe I have video on this, but you're just using your inside rein and inside leg, and you're trying to get a nice arc through their body. And to teach them to do that well, it helps with the gaited horses because it helps to separate their legs, so it'll help you get a better gait if the horse is pacey. But for trail horses, it's very important. You got a cough? All right. So when you're riding on trail, it's important that they know how to bend, and you can control their shoulders and body because you have to go around trees and things of that nature, and you don't want to catch your leg into it. The animal knows exactly how big it is, but lots of people think they're running themselves into the tree to get you, and occasionally that is true, but most of the time they just don't take into consideration that your legs are sticking out, and so they knock into things. Now, I'm not saying your animal's not smart enough to do that, but most of them don't. So now we're just making our serpentine. So no matter what breed, what kind of animal, I teach them all the same thing. And with the serpentine, and I have all the articles on the serpentine on the lateral movements, you're just bending back and forth. Now, like she's pulling on this bitless bridle, so sometimes I have to put a lot more pressure on it to get her attention back on me, so she's not just pulling me around. Okay? But again, that happens with new bits and all sorts of things. They have to get used to it. So in the beginning, just stay in small circles, make sure you have control before you start going out there. So Sophia gets annoyed at times. You'll see her little tail swatting. And that, again, gets better as they're worked more because their work ethic cannot be the best if they're only worked a couple of days a week. They don't think they have to do that much. And then if they're strong, like she's strong, even though she's small, they know they can outpower you. So you want to sit back. If you're not strong, use your back. Lean back and then use your arms. It'll make you stronger. And you do what you got to do with the equipment you have on to keep control of them. So now we're going to walk over poles. Now mules are pretty sure-footed. They have those small feet and good bone, and they have a lot of self-preservation, so they're usually pretty good with their feet. Now I stuffed my stick over here because she was being a little bit bratty, and she's forward because she hasn't been out that much, so I don't think I need it at the moment, but I don't want to give it up in case she starts doing stuff. Because she's one who acts like, I don't need to do it, and she'll just stop. So then we got to get her some incentive to go forward. Okay, so now I'm just walking around bending her. Your eyes make a big difference. Make sure you're looking where you want to go. If you're looking at the animal or at the dirt, well, you don't want to go to either of those two places. So you can glance at them, but you don't want to stare. You want to be just like you're driving your car. Okay? Makes a big difference in your body position, and also you're communicating to the animal where you want to go. When you really get in tuned with your mule or your horse, you can pretty much control them with your mind and communicate back and forth with them. They don't talk to each other a lot. If you see, it's all body language. And, they seem to have this interconnection with each other, that they can do things at the same time. They all take off together. They all slow down together. So there's a way to communicate with them without us always pushing at them. But you really got to be focused and know your animal to be able to do that. Now you just saw she was walking pretty fast, and that's the speed of like a flat walk. So some mules can do, a little shuffle or a little flat walk pretty fast. So if your mule can do that, that's awesome. And how much better is it? So I'm just working on bending and just making this circle right now. They got stuff going on down at the other end of the arena, and so I'm just avoiding that for now until we get some energy worked out. So I just keep squeezing and relaxing on my left rein so I can see the corner of her eye. And then I'm just bending her slightly with my leg. Now I'm creating energy here because she just told me by slowing down that she wants to stop at the gate. And lots of times your animal will tell you things, and if you pay attention, she just told me, next time I go around Gaye, I'm probably going to try and slam on the brakes because, I don't feel like doing this today. So she just gave me that message by just slowing down at the gate. So I want to take that message in and be like, what's Sophia going to do? Oh, I know, she's probably going to stop at that gate. So about 20 feet before the gate, I'm going to start riding with some energy, pick my body up, be a little bit stronger with my legs and my stick. So I'm ready if she does all of a sudden stop or try to drag me to that gate. Now I kept her a little farther from the gate too, didn't I? And then she just kept going by, and you'd never know she was going to do something, but she was. She told me she was going to do something. So pay attention to the signals they're giving you. And again, when you carry a stick, it's not like you have to hit the animal. Sometimes you can just wave it to create energy. Sometimes just holding that stick makes that animal think, well, she's pretty serious. I shouldn't screw with this one. Now, I got by the gate once, but I'm messing with my scarf. So she might feel me messing around and think, well, Gaye's not paying attention, so I'll do it this time. She is slowing down, so see me just waving my stick? I'm just tapping myself on the leg, just creating energy. Good girl. All right, so I don't want to stop by the gate. I'm going to stop and do some backups, but I don't want to do it there. So I'm going to breathe out. Whoa. So I always like to use my body. I stop riding, breathe out, sit back, whoa, and then I pull. So it gives them lots of time, and then over time it becomes magic. I just sit back and they stop. So let's see how she backs up with this Bitless. Well, that wasn't very good. Back. So I've taught her the word from the ground, back. So even though I'm using something different, back, she should figure it out. Now, she might don't want to do it. She's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. Because it's important. Good girl. A good girl, Sophia. She's like, yeah, I don't like doing this. So she's much happier on the trail. None of them want to do arena work, but they gotta. Because what if I got to back up on the trail? I don't want to find out on the trail I can't do it. I'd rather do it here because I can get off and help her use, and then get back on, or I could have another person on the ground help me back her up. Good girl. So the first time with the bitless bridle backing up, that's pretty good. Good girl. So now let's walk off again. So I'm squeezing her with my legs. Nothing's really happening, so I'm waving my stick. So I always ask nicely, and then bring the pressure up if they're not going. But you don't want to give them all day to respond. You give them about 3 seconds and you move on to more pressure. Nothing happens. You give them 3 more seconds and move on. So we'll try it right here. I'll try to count it out. So I'm going to breathe. Whoa. Nothing happened, so I pulled within 3 seconds. Now she's pulling on me, so I'm just waiting until she's not pulling as much. It's not going to be perfect. Okay, now I'm going to back up. So I'm going to pull. Good girl. She did respond, so I released. Back. Good girl. So she's responding better than she did over there. But you'll see I'm releasing every time she gives me a step, so she knows that's right. And in then time, she'll respond to my body. Now, she's still not happy, but her tail's not crazy. Sophia is very opinionated, aren't you? But she tolerates me, and she's like, okay, I'll do it. And so you just got to get that communication down to understand each other. So I'm going to do another backup. Whoa. So I'm pulling because she didn't stop, so I'm going to hold till she stops pulling. Now she gave a backup step, so that's good. Good girl. So she's just got to learn not to pull on this. And they pull on this a little bit more than they do like a hackamore, because those can be a little bit stronger depending what kind of hackamore you have on. But she's doing quite now. Look how light she is. And over there, when I was over there, she could hardly back up at all. Good girl. Good job. Now she can have little treats here and there, but she was coughing before, so I don't want to give her too many. But I'm trying to make it, you want some? The arena. Happy work for her, not miserable work. So I don't want to drill her. I don't want to sit in here for hours. I just want to make sure she bends, backs up, moves a little bit sideways, and then we're good to go, right? So we're going to do a little leg yielding, which means I'm going to go forward and sideways at the same time. When you do that, and I have this written out in articles on my website, both your hands, to keep it very simple, because I know some of you don't have advanced training, but basically both your hands are going to go the direction you want to go. So I'm going to walk over there, but I'm going to want to be going off to the right, so both my hands are going to go to the right. You take your right leg off to open the door, and then we're going to push with our left leg. Now, how does she know to go? Wake up, Sophia. How does she know to go sideways instead of forward? It's by opening some doors and blocking some doors. So we're going to open the door to the right, and we're going to block the door to the left. And then we're going to keep the opening in front of her open so she knows to go forward, but I'm going to block it slightly so she can't go all forward. So here I go. Both hands to the right, left leg on. And what do you know? She moves over. So there you go. So she did it pretty well because she knows how to leg yield. But even if an animal knows how to do it, they're not going to do it if you don't give them the right cues. And I've seen so many people like get an animal and they go, it doesn't do what they said it does. Oh, it does. You're just giving them the wrong cues, or they taught it a different way to do it. So hands to the right, left leg on. So again, she's not a dressage pony or anything. We just need her for trail. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, since I'm only doing this twice a week. And the reason I keep saying that is to explain it's harder when you're not doing it all the time. That's why kids go to school 5 days a week. So I'm going to be more lenient with her than I might some of my other horses in training because of that. Now she just dragged me over that pole. And there we go, off to the side. So if you drill them and you get, crazy about they have to do it perfect, they don't want to do it anymore. Who does? It's not that fun. So we're going to do one more leg yield over here. But this is very important because many times on trails, you need to go forward and sideways at the same time. So when a bike comes, you can just push your horse or mule over. Baby carriage, any of those things coming, it's much nicer for the animal if you push them over versus you start pulling on their face, okay? And that's what we're trying to do. They carry us, so we're trying to make it nicer for them. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, she's not going to do a shoulder in really well, but I'm going to try and get a little extra bend on her. So if you're trying to do a shoulder in, you don't understand in the beginning, you just bend them to the left while they're going straight. And you get a little bend, and just leave them alone. Good enough for the first time. Let them go like 10 steps or more so they get a break from it. And then another little bend to the left. So left rein, left leg, right leg, and right rein are just kind of supporting. And then you let them go again. Okay? She's got a nice flat walk. Now I'm going to bend her again. There we go. So she's doing pretty good. So all I want her to do is turn her head a little bit when I put rein pressure and leg pressure. But if you don't practice it and you don't teach them what that means, they won't know how to do it when you actually need them to go around a tree or something. Then your leg gets smacked into the tree, and that's not pleasant at all. Okay? So she's doing that quite well. So that was once around, good enough for Sophia. So let's stop. Now we're going to do our turn on the forehand. That's when we push the forehand's the front legs, the haunches is the back legs, back here, and we're going to push her back legs around, but it's a turn on the forehand. Very important to prevent them from rearing, bucking, taking off. Also making small turns on the trail is very helpful. So we're going to turn her head a little to the right, so it's right rein and right leg. Now I'm creating motion with my stick. I'm not hitting her. Well, now she's pulling me, so look at me. I'm leaning way back. Now I'm going to push her over a little bit more. If they pull on you and they drag you and they get away with it, then they learn that they can drag you around. It only takes them once to figure that out. And they're like, pretty cool. I can drag this one wherever I want. I think I'll drag them over to the grass. Yeah, let's go over the grass because grass is fun. So you got to be ready, especially if you're small, to be able to lean back and use that power of your back, which is a bigger muscle, versus the smaller muscles in your arms of your biceps and your triceps. Okay? So I repeat everything in the opposite direction that we did the other way. So going over poles, again, she's not gated, and she's sure fitted, so does she need the poles as much? No, but why not make sure? And then you feel comfortable going over obstacles because you did it in the arena, and you're like, my mule's cool, she's not going to have a problem. So build up your confidence and build up her confidence with you. You could put logs, you can put anything you want. So now we're going around the poles, and we're just going to work on bending. So now it'll be a little right rein and a little right leg. So I'm trying to keep her head either straight or turned a little to the right and bending her body to the right. Okay? Everybody likes to just pull the animals out, and so they just pull like the left rein to get them out. But when you pull them out, their head turns left, and their body goes the opposite way. Their body goes to the right, and that's why you slam into trees and things. So you're trying to get it that you push them out and get an arc in their body. So as we go around things, like if we went around this pole, they're not dragging you into it. Okay? So you want to make sure before you go out on trail that you can make circles, you can bend your animal, you can control it, and you can move its hindquarters and its shoulders because that gives you much more control. And even that serpentine I made is very important for trail because there's lots of S-curves on some trails. Now here she's getting a little slow, so I'm waving my stick. I gave her a couple very light taps there, but not much. So she lost some of her energy. She's like, yeah, I'm pretty bored with this, Gaye. So I'm like, that's okay. I still got to bend you, Sophia. So we're still bending. So don't forget about your outside rein, which is your left rein in this direction. Because when people bend, lots of times they push that rein forward and then the animal has no support on that side and then they just lean in. You're trying to bend them, get them to carry themselves, but then support them on the outside. Because whichever rein is having the more pressure, they lean into. So I'm going to wave my stick because she's feeling like she's going to stop at the gate. And I'm going to do some stops and backups again. But I don't want to do it by the mounting block or the gate because that's where she's getting slow. So do it somewhere else. So are you ready? Sit back, leg off. Whoa. So it's just like magic. I never touched her mouth. Sophia's smart. She's like, when Gaye sits back, blows out, the next thing she says is, whoa, and the next thing she does is pull on my face. So I think I'll just stop because I don't want her to do those two other things. Okay. Now we're going to back up. So I'm going to add some pressure. She's not doing anything. I'm going to lean back to add a little bit more pressure. And she kind of moved, but not that much. And I said, not good enough. So even though she did it the other direction, this direction, she's like, I don't feel like it. And you might be thinking, well, they're dumb or something's wrong with them. No. Hey, sometimes we just don't feel like doing it, do we, Sophia? She's like, finally, someone who understands. No, sometimes we don't feel like doing it. But I'm like, well, I know. I totally understand you, but you got to do it. Because it's a job. And most jobs aren't fun. Good. Now she's got a faster walk again. She's like, maybe we're almost done. I'm like, no, not really. So let's stop again. So sit back, legs off, blow out. Whoa. Now you'll see she's stopping with me, but when she goes to her new owner, is that going to work for them? No. Only if they practice it every single time until Sophia understands them, because they're going to do it different than I do it. Everybody does it different, even if we try to do the same thing. So I'm just holding, she's just pulling. Now how long am I going to hold? Just till there. She gave a little step, so that was good. Back. Good girl. If she hadn't moved at that point, I was going to turn a little sideways. So if they get stuck, you just be like, let's go a different way. And as soon as their feet start moving, then you can go back into what you were doing. So now she's doing pretty good. Good girl. Good job. Now I'm going to give her some incentive because she didn't want to do it, but she did it for me. Here. Sophia's like, this arena work, is very tasty. I'm having a great time now. Good. All right, so now we're going to walk off again. So leg, 1, 2, 3. She's not moving, so I added something. So remember, 3 seconds. You wait longer than that, they think they got you, and they don't have to listen to you. If you only give them 1 second, it usually has not made it to their brain. Remember, they're bigger animals. So even though we're putting stimulus on them to tell them, it has to make it to their brain, and then they got to decide what to do with it. So 3 seconds usually works pretty well. It's just 1, 2, 3, like that. All right, so let's stop. So legs off. She stops like magic now. Now I'm going to add a little pressure. Now I'm going to say back. She's not going, so I'm adding a little leg. Now she went. So she's not backing up as good this direction as she did the other direction, but that's okay. Sophia's happiest going down the trail. The fact she's responding and listening to me at all is good. Now I want to do a turn on the forehand, so we'll see if that pole gets in the way. So I'm going to put my stick in the other hand just to help me. It's going to be left rein and leg. The front end stays still. The back end walks around. So again, if your horse started to rear up or you thought it was going to buck or something and you start spinning it around, it takes the power away. It's like shutting the engine off the vehicle. So it can't run away anymore. Good girl. Now we're going to give her a little break. Now this might be good or this might be a mistake. Now you see too, I keep giving her food and I keep giving on the left side. And we all do everything on the left. So this is good for her neck because it stretches her. And she's a little older, so I'm sure she has, right? We all have some arthritis. So don't forget to give it on both sides. And then that also helps the vet if they come out to check their neck for some reason. They might be like, well, they bend really well on the left, but they don't on the right. And they're using cookies and stuff, but it's because you always give it on the left. And then, so the animal's not good enough, and then they think something's wrong with it. So try to do everything on both sides. Sophia. And I like to tap them a lot of times and then give them the food. So it's a cue, and that way if my halter breaks or something and I can't grab it, I can tap them on the side, and then when they turn their head, I can grab that halter or whatever it is and then get off if it was, my rein broke or something like that. All right. So the next thing we're going to do with her is trot. So I'm going to have her go forward in my circle, and then I'm just going to squeeze with both legs and ask for more energy so she starts to go. And if she doesn't go, then I'll start waving my stick. Breaks over, Sophia. I also like to ride them with stick and spurs so the people know they've had them on them. Look, she's like, forget it, I don't want to go. So they're not worried, like, oh, the horse or mule won't pay attention. But I saw Gaye ride with stick and spurs, and they were fine with it, so I think I can do that. Okay, so this is her nice fast walk, which is good. Now we're going to add a little bit more leg, and we're going to see what happens. So it'll be leg. Then if she won't go, I give the cluck. That's the warning that more is coming. And then if she doesn't go, then the stick. Here we go. Nothing. Nothing. Good girl. Now when you post, you have what they call diagonals. So you stand up when their outside front leg goes forward. That makes it easier for the animal. That's why you do it with that outside front leg. But there's lots of people who don't know diagonals and are posting on the inside one, which is harder for the animal. You're always trying to get their weight to the outside of their body when you're riding them in the arena, because it makes it much easier for them. If you're riding down the trail, just alternate your posting, maybe post 5 minutes on the right diagonal and then 5 minutes on the left. So you're trying to make it even for them. Now you'll see I'm waving my stick a lot to keep her going. Now she started coughing, and I sat down because I thought she was going to keep coughing, and she didn't. So let's speed it back up. Sophia will do most anything you ask. She just got to believe you. That takes time. So let's do a little sit trot so you see how comfortable she is. So she's not bad. So again, some animals, even though they're not fully gaited, can have nice little trots. So again, if you watch my videos and you're like, holy cow, gaited is so confusing, you can be like, I'm not going to get gaited, but I'll just get an animal that has a smooth trot, because many of them do. You just got to find them. You're not looking for one of those ones that do that big extended trot, because those animals, horses, have a lot of suspension. They're going to be bouncier. It looks cool, but it's a very bouncy ride. And you got to be very strong to hold yourself in the saddle and not bounce out. But ones that don't have that big motion. Oh, now see her just pull me? All I did was just pull the other way. So I was going to stop soon, but she decided to pull me in to see if she could stop herself sooner. And she might have read my mind, but I'm like, nope, changed it. So I'm like, you're not that good of a mind reader yet. Okay. So we're going to try it up here. She's figuring it out. See her slowing down? Because she could feel me thinking that I was going to stop. So now I'm going to give her a break. So when you give them a break, go on the buckle if you can. If you're nervous, hold it here, but hold your hand up so you're not pulling on their face the whole time. That's why a lot of the animals start throwing their heads, is because somebody's been hanging on them the whole time. Look at this. Her hair is going both directions. It looks like this cool pattern up here. Okay. Now, I'm not going to do a turn on the haunches with her because she's still figuring out her turn on the forehand. That would be a movement I would recommend they teach her later on, because, they'll be having more time with her. If I do it now, where I just taught her this turn on the forehand, she's going to confuse the two. And then it's going to make it harder for me and worse for her. She'll do half turn on the forehand and half turn on the haunches. So you stick with one thing, just get that done, and work on the other thing later. It's the same thing with the sidle up and the side pass. If I teach her to come towards me, and then I get on her and I immediately teach her side pass, and I have the stick on like this side, a lot of times they get confused and come towards the stick. So we'll try it later in the ride, not close together, and if she gets confused at all, I'll be like, well, I have to pick which one is more important to get accomplished with her. I think for now that's the sidle up to help them get on. Okay, so right rein and leg, look where you want to go. Wave the stick if they're not going. She's not going. Pull. She's pulling me. And you might again be like, why do I got to do that? Well, they could pull you off a cliff, so don't let them drag you around. Okay? Make them turn their body. They just don't understand, and they take the easiest route, and that's what she's doing. So I just have to counteract it and show her, nope, you still got to do it. All right, so let's add some energy and ask her to trot. So I'm going to squeeze, nothing. 1, 2, 3, cluck. 1, 2, 3, stick. So in time, come on, Sophia. She's like, I'll just walk faster. How about that? But in time, they'll start figuring it out. So you try to be as consistent as you can. Now, I was on the wrong diagonal, so I just switched. Remember, you stand up when that outside leg goes forward, sit when it comes down. And when you post, it's all about balance and using your strength in your thighs. I'm using my left leg because she's trying to drag me to the mounting block. Now I'm going to switch my stick into the outside because she just told me she might start screwing with me, so I want to be ready. But when you're posting, you're landing very light. You don't want to slam on their back. You're always trying to protect their back. Now, when I get over here, if she starts going towards that mounting block, I'm going to raise the stick towards her face. See how well that worked? All I did was kind of tilt it towards her face, and she's like, get that out of my face. And she turned. So you can help them quite easily by doing that. Now, I always tell people, you'll hear in the lessons too, was that a fluke? Like, they did it well, and I go do it again, because I want to make sure you really understand. So that's what I'm doing with Sophia. Let's go by the mounting block again, so I make sure you understand not to go there. Now, there she got a little mad, didn't she? She said, that was too much, Gaye. You moved it too much towards my face, and I didn't like that. Nice thing, even if she gets mad, she don't do that much. She just was like, man, stop it. So this time I'm going to sit Trot by it. So we're ready. And we'll just open our reins. No. Good girl. So she did good. Good girl. So we'll reward that by taking a break here. She likes breaks. On trail she'll just keep going. But in here she's all about getting the breaks. So for trail, we need a horse that's going to steer, or mule that's going to steer. She does steer with this. A hackamore might work better for her, so she doesn't pull on it as much, but otherwise it's just fine. She bends, she backs up, she turns, so we have all those things. But again, when you get a new animal, you have to practice doing those things with them so they understand your cues and how to do it. But she's got a pretty good whoa, the back up and the turns. And so we're just going to see if she knows how to go sideways. We were working on it, but I'm trying to make sure I don't confuse her. So what I'm going to do is just face the camera, and then we'll see. So we're only going to try for a couple little steps each direction and see how it goes. Since I was doing the saddle up and I'm on the left-hand side when I'm doing that with her, I'm going to start pushing her off the right so she gets the idea first. So we're going to try and push her sideways. Now you might be like, I didn't even see her move. Why are you stopping? Because she tried. And that's the whole point in the beginning, is just get them to try, reward the try, and then you ask them again. Good girl, Sophia. Good girl. She likes nothing more than being told she's right. So right leg on. Reins going to the left and left leg off to open up the door. Going to wave my stick to try to get her to move her shoulders over. Good. So very good. It doesn't have to be fast in the beginning. They just have to try. And then over time you ask them to do it faster and faster. But if you ask them to do it and you ask them to do it faster and perfectly in the beginning, they won't even try for you because it's too much. Now I'm pulling on her because she's pulling on me, and I'm hitting her with my leg. Now I'm going to wave the stick a little bit. Good girl. Now I'm going to give her a little reward because she tried, and then we're going to try the other way, and we'll see what happens. So even though everybody goes, there's just trail horse, I don't need a lot, you actually need a lot more than the people that ride in the arena because there's no fences out there. So you need to be on an animal that's safe, that understands you, and you understand the animal. That can take time. So you don't want to rush things. Take your time. Get used to them. She's like, now we do it on the other side, Gaye. I'm like, we do, but you have to side pass first. Now again, some of the horses, when you teach them to saddle up, they connect these two things together. So you got to be a little careful and don't get upset if they go the wrong direction. So I'm going to open my rein to the right, left rein against her, put my left leg on, and my right leg is off. Good girl. Now she did it. One little step, and that's all that matters. the spurs help a lot with the side pass because sometimes they just ignore you and you can kick them as hard as you want and they'll still ignore you. And I don't like to kick. Good girl. So she tried and she said, I'd like a treat for my efforts. And I said, well, okay, because you're learning and you're being a good girl today. Each one's different on if I give them treats or not, depending how they act. If they're getting mouthy, pushy, or obnoxious, the treats go away sooner. If they're not, some are submissive and quite nice the whole time, then they can have treats as long as I have the treats. And then some people go, well, they won't do it without the treat. Oh, if they trust you and they respect you, they'll do it with the treat, but they'll do it without the treat as well. It's not about the treats, it's about your relationship with them, and that's just a little reward there. Now we're going to push her over one more time. So reins to the right, I'm looking ahead, she's pulling, so I'm leaning back, she got a little crooked, so I'm going to push her again. Now she did good, except her back end's moving too much, so I'm trying to pull the right rein to get her shoulders to catch up and to stop her back end from moving, which it does both. So that was quite good. So, actually, I was going to get off, but let's practice getting off on the mounting block in case they have to get off on something. When you're older, it's great to teach them all these things because as we get older, it's harder to get on and off. Sometimes it's our knee, sometimes it's something else. Sophia, this is good. So she's backing up. She's either confused or just doesn't want to go, so I just turned her. So I'm going to steer her back over to the mounting block. But you want to be able to take them up to things and have them stand. So if you need to get off on something because your ankle hurts or your back or your knee, that you can do that. Oh. Now she's a little crooked, so I'd like to get her butt over a little. Good girl. So she moved it a little, so I stopped. Now I could get off, but maybe I could get her just a little straighter. She's like, Gaye, don't go for perfect. You know what you said. Now she moved her front end away. Nope, now she's pulling. But I want you to see all this because it's not perfect. Now that's pretty good, Sophia. Good girl. Now even at the end, you could practice your sidle up. Can you move over, Sophia? She's like, I just did all that and you're going to piss me off. Come on. Good girl. No. See how she moved away again? Good girl. So you don't want to rest until they're staying still, and that's when they can have the treat or whatever else you want. Okay? This is a good time after you've worked them some to practice just getting on and off, especially for those ones that are bad at standing at the mounting block. Get on. Good girl. And then just get back off. Just do it a bunch of times. It'll also make you stronger, but only do it as many times as you can. If you're like, I can do 2, and if I try for 3, it's a bad thing, then don't do 3 for now. All right. So now with the bitless, you want to loosen up that noseband right away when you're done. And then we're going to loosen up her girth. Because we're like, see, Sophia, it wasn't that bad. So she did quite good. And then tomorrow we'll take you out on the trail so you don't have to do this. And then we can do the stuff out on the trail. All right, so hopefully that helps you if you have a mule. And but we only have occasional mules here and there. She overall did really well.